Hello, welcome to Media News for the Youth Producers studio. I'm TJ and this is Hannah.
Hi.
And today we're going to be talking to you about some recent media. Starting off with the new Black Panther movie, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, which released on November 11th. In that movie, we not only were introduced to our new Black Panther for future films, we were also introduced to a new country and possibly a future villain for some new Marvel movies, which is very exciting.
Another new movie in media is Minions: Rise of Gru, which is just the beginning of Gru and the battles he fought to get to be the major villain he is. My opinion on the Minions movie was that the Minions: Rise of Gru movie was that it was okay. It wasn't 10 out of 10, but it wasn't bad. Another not great movie is the new Monster High movie. I don't think this movie should have been made at all. The movie had very bad representation and erased a lot of canon things in the show, like how Claudine was a canon lesbian in the show, but she was straight in the movie. And they erased a ton of characters' accents and just didn't make it, they were trying to make it progressive, but just made it seem forced and unnatural, and just really wasn't a good movie.
One show that is agreed upon by most readers that did not do the book very well justice was One of Us is Lying. There are currently 2 seasons out on Peacock, and the casting for the movie was an abomination. It was disgusting.
Tragic.
Exactly. And the book, in everyone's opinion, was much better. And the plot of the story was 4 high schoolers who were being accused of being murderer of one of their classmates. And they're trying to prove themselves innocent while also finding out who's guilty. And I would recommend it to anyone who likes mystery books.
Would you recommend the show, though?
No. Don't watch the show. Ever.
Another book in media that isn't very new, but was a very popular book, is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I feel like this book was just a very interesting book that had a lot of plot twists and things that happened that you didn't very much expect, that just kept you wanting to keep reading, which is...
On your toes.
Yeah, which is what you always want in a good book. The plot of this book was a girl named Monique, who is a writer for a very popular company, like writing company, gets personally chosen from Evelyn herself to write her autobiography before she, well, it wouldn't be autobiography, it'd just be biography. Mm-hmm. Her biography before she passes away, because she was very old. Evelyn Hugo was a 1950s Hollywood star, and she was very famous and had a lot of little secrets that you have to learn more about to read the book. In my opinion, it was 10 out of 10, and I would recommend it.
Next up, we got the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, with the books A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, the original. Next being As
Good Girl,
Bad Blood as the second book, and As Good as Dead as the finale, with an unhonorable, disappointing mention of Killjoy as the 4th book. The series follows the life of a high school girl named Pippa Fitz-Anobi, who is solving different mysteries throughout her town, which varies from each book. There are many plot twists in the storyline that you could definitely learn to love. I would 100% recommend it to anyone who likes to read because the plot is very thrilling and interesting.
Another trilogy, popular trilogy in book media, is the Maze Runner series, as most of you know of. And they just came out with a new book, The Maze Cutter. It came out November 1st, and the plot of this book is that the descendants of the original people in the Maze Runner series have to go back to the mainland after living in the safe haven because a boat has come in and told them some very some bad news, told them some very dark news, and they have to go see what it's like on the mainland after living in a place that has never had to deal with the flare.
The flare being a virus throughout the world.
That is very contagious and decays people's minds and makes them crazy.
Which you can learn about through the rest of the Maze Runner series.
Yeah.
Would you recommend the Maze Runner books?
Definitely. They're great books and they have like 2 prologues books, and it's just a very good series.
Next we have Six of Crows, which is a story about a man named Casbrecker who gets commissioned to break somebody out of prison. Him and his 5 acquaintances
with a little romance
go to make this money, and they find a bit of comfort within each other along the way. It's an amazing book, which has a sequel called Crooked Kingdom. And to anyone who likes those thrilling action books
and found family,
this is definitely for you. Next, we're going to segue to Chloe to talk to you about some new media.
Hello, today we're going to talk about 4 new games that a lot of people have been really liking. We're going to start with Security Breach, a favorite of many. It is the 8th game in the series, and a lot of people have been talking about it. Recently, we found out that there will be a free DLC next year, which people are very excited about. And the poster we got with the announcement has stirred up some theories. One of them being, since the only other character visible on the poster is Chica, people think that Chica will be the player's guide instead of Freddy. A lot of other people think that the DLC takes place after the true ending, which is where the Pizzaplex burns down, because as you can see if you look at the poster, the big Freddy statue is destroyed, and you can see the whole Pizzaplex in ruin. So a lot of people are really excited because they can tell it's going to be leaning way more into the horror aspect. So a lot of people are getting very excited soon. Another game is Poppy Playtime, which is coming out with a chapter 3, hopefully soon. We don't know a lot right now, but we do think that Huggy Wuggy is possibly going to come back in season 3 and might also be one of the main antagonists, along with another character that we thought would appear in chapter 2, but is probably going to appear in chapter 3, is a flower. We don't know a lot, but we did see at the end of chapter 2 a sign that said the play place, so people think that the flower will be in the play place. Another pretty recent game is Bendy and the Dark Revival. The original game, Bendy and the Ink Machine, released in 2017, and a couple years later, they had started talking about the Bendy and the Dark Revival, but people didn't think it would come out because they had heard little to nothing about it for a couple years. But it finally released recently, and a lot of people have been loving it. One last game is the new Pokemon game, which a lot of people have been talking about. There's been some controversy about the 3 new starter characters. People aren't really liking some of the designs because they thought we were getting something that we had never gotten before, but it was a lie. And yeah, let's listen to some news.
Next up, for some news, starting with the election, which took place on November 8th. And we will be not be having another governor election for another 4 years. This election The winner for our Massachusetts governor was Maura Healey, winning over 63.5% of our voters. Next was Jeff Deal.
Who is the Democratic
in the
Party.
Democratic Party. After that was Jeff Deal for the Republican Party, winning over 34.9% of our voters. And lastly, there was Kevin Reed, who had 1.6% of the voters.
Another very recent thing that has happened in news is the robbery on November 17th, where a bank was robbed on Martha's Vineyard, and the robbers supposedly took a boat over here back to Cape Cod and head out in the Falmouth Inn, in the Holiday Inn in Falmouth. They have one person involved in the robbery involved in
the robbery has been detained since the incident.
Yeah, but the others have not been caught. This put the schools in a bit of a panic. Well, Morse Pond more specifically, where they had to evacuate the kids to the high school, since they are a lot closer to the Holiday Inn and feared for their safety. But at Lawrence, we were just put down in a shelter-in-place and continued on the next day and that day as well in school. And that's it.
Thank you so much for tuning in on our new media. We hope to see you again. Bye.
Bye.